Good evening. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I invite you to join us. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Gary.
Here.
Pepcorn.
Here.
Preston. Here. Strand.
Here.
Mahoney.
Here. Health. June 13 to 19 is Men's Health Week. Fargo County Public Health would like to raise awareness for men's health issues by encouraging everyone to wear blue on June 17th. June 27th is the National HIV Testing Day, when people are encouraged to be tested for HIV, know their status, and get linked to care and treatment if needed. Free and confidential HIV testing is available at the Public Health Clinic, which also offers PrEP to help prevent HIV. The clinic will have additional staff available to accommodate increased testing needs. Library. The annual Summer Reading Challenge theme is Oceans of Possibilities, and participants of all ages are encouraged to read every day to complete challenges, earn badges, and win prizes. This program runs through August 20th and includes stories, events, crafts, and activities. Participation is free, and residents can visit the library's website to get registered and download the Beanstack app to keep track of their reading over the summer. The librarians tell me that it's very popular and the kids are participating. Water Utility has been awarded a $172,000 grant for engineering services to design specific water main improvements in Fargo. The projects will help with the water pressure and reduce water age in some areas of the water distribution system. The grant award is from the North Dakota Department of Water Resources and is 60% grant and 40% local cost share agreement. The full projects will be designed in 2022 for plans of construction in 2023. The work is a joint effort between engineering, water utility, and planning departments. Water Utility participated in a voluntary EPA program to help plan climate resiliency projects to help source water availability and management during the times of drought. This work is used in the EPA web-based tool, CREATE, which stands for Climate Resilient Evaluation and Awareness Tool, to evaluate capital projects mostly related to source water. The CREATE tool predicts weather and precipitation scenarios decades into the future and the potential impacts on the water supply for Fargo. The Water Utility worked with EPA in the Fargo case study, has been presented nationally in EPA workshops to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and will be published in an article in the Journal of American Water Works Association. Troy Hall did a great job on this, and we really look like we're a community that's ready for drought. Other. On May 31st, community members gathered at the corner of 2nd and 1st Avenue North along Red River in downtown Fargo to unveil the new dynamic lighting system illuminating the spirit of the Sandbagger sculpture archway. With permanent flood protection in Fargo less than 4 years from being fully realized, the spirit of the Sandbagger serves as a reminder for future residents and visitors of the successful efforts of past generations who rose to the challenge of protecting the community from floodwaters time and time again. We express sincere appreciation to the Fargo Lions Club, who raised over $200,000 to ensure this project was all privately funded. Now we will enjoy a video of the dynamic lighting unveiling. Last September, the Fargo Lions Club gifted the Spirit of the Sandbagger monument to the city of Fargo in honor of the club's 100th year in service to the community. At that ribbon-cutting event, it was announced that dynamic lighting would be incorporated into the site in 2022. Tonight, we unveil the lighting, which will bring the statues to life and shine 1,000,000 colors to illuminate the secret sauce of Fargo, people who band together at times of trial to save our city.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
As we worked through the process on this piece, I did not realize the emotional impact it would have for me. This has become a place to visit and remember. This piece brings art to our larger flood protection infrastructure, which adds to its beauty and meaningfulness.
This is so much fun for me to be able to be part of such a beautiful monument and something that celebrates this city and the people of this city, because that spirit is so important.
They're human forms, right? They're people. They're you and me and every one of us who was involved. There were specific models who modeled. Every one of them fought floods, some of them as teenagers, but they're all of us.
When I asked people to help me out with this project, they all came in and they'd line up, and I had small groups of 3 to 5 people, and we would have them fill bags and throw them and pass them and stack them on the end. And my vision was to have the sandbag throughout the whole sculpture. And I think with the lighting coming, it's going to be really awesome to see that movement of the bag going through there.
I so appreciate the way that the Alliance have included everyone in this wonderful monument with Karen's beautiful artwork. My students are able to access it because on the monument they also have one that they're able to touch, and that visually impaired people are told what it's about. I have students that, like you and I, went out and fought the flood, and they will be so excited to be able to come here and access it on their own independently and be able to enjoy this monument.
As Lions, our motto is we serve, and when it comes to flood fighting, this community serves each other, and I think for that we can be very proud.
Is there a motion to approve the order of the agenda, moving item 18 from the consent agenda to the regular agenda?
I so move.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the May 31st, 2022 regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 32, excluding item 18, which has been moved to the regular agenda?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Gary.
Yes.
Strand. Preston.
Aye.
Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mahoney.
Aye. We're a little early for public, so let's start at the back. John, do you want to go into 18 right away? Sure can. Yeah. Market adjustments for equipment operators and related positions. Joe Manette and Ben Dow to explain.
Good evening, Commissioners and Mayor. How are you doing this evening? I hope everything is good, and we're here to talk a little bit about the struggles we're having hiring and retaining people in our Public Works Department tonight. Like many other places of our community, we are seeing some of the same issues come forward, hiring and finding employees, and then retaining our staff as well. Recently, we've seen upwards of 8, 10, and now, as of today, 12 staff members that were vacant out of 63 positions within Public Works in our street department, mains and hydrants. And as people have been exiting and moving on, the number one thing we've heard is our pay doesn't match up with what it should be, and they're moving on to higher paying positions. The other thing we're hearing, of course, we came off a bad winter, and the work-life balance between working nights and weekends and during snowstorms is a lot for people to handle with their families. So in March, we raised this because we've been advertising since December with very few applicants and unable to hire any of the applicants we did receive because they were not qualified and never contained the necessary CDL license for the process, which I will throw this in there as well. In February, the federal government made a change to the CDL laws that are commercial driver's license that requires you to now do classroom, 40 hours of classroom activity and approximately 160 hours of behind the wheel, which potentially costs through a private school or academy $6,000 to $8,000 to obtain. Since then, we have established that and working towards be able to do that in-house. But until we get that fully established, we cannot offer that to any employees coming in, nor can we train or help anybody get their CDL in the process. So we are working on that with HR and our training people right now. But we've had significant issues, again, hiring and finding staff. And it's becoming an issue. Our salary for a starting pay with a commercial driver's license was advertised at $21.99 for approximately, like I said, 6 months. And we've received only 10 applicants, and of those 10 applicants, we've been able to hopefully try and hire 3 of them, which when we offered them positions, they went back to their previous employers, which at time their previous employer counteroffered, and they made the decision to stay. So as we're moving forward and moving into this, we brought this to the attention of our administration and HR and the Finance Committee in March. And with that, the recommendation was made to have HR do an in-house market evaluation of both what's in the public and private market out there and what the salaries we're seeing. And so that's what you see as part of our memorandum and the attachment in the second page of what we found. So at that time, we went back and spent some time to see what it would take to move our equipment operator 2 pay to the next level, to a grade 10. And in order to do that, we have to move our equipment operator 3 pays because they're all the grades are all stacked up on top of each other. So if we move our operator 2s, we have to move our operator 3s, we have to move our crew leaders, and so forth all the way up, because we would create an inequity situation if we just made a simple adjustment. So what we're here tonight is asking you to approve the reclassification of our operator 2s, our operator 3s, our crew leaders, and then various positions that would be affected to keep the equity in line, as you see in your packet tonight.
Jill, any comments?
Yeah, just briefly, Ben covered that very well, and again, the market data is in your packet, but you can see we looked at both public sector and private sector, and we're really anywhere from 6 to 10% below on those starting rates of pay. And looking at private sector, again, we're about 5+% on the very starting rates within their pay. So we recognize, again, looking both public and private sector, that our starting rates have really fallen behind somewhere in that 5 to 10%, and that we really need to make an adjustment to support both recruiting and retention efforts. And we may need to come back and look at future adjustments as well if the market continues in the direction it has, as well as the shortage of drivers. But we believe this at least initially addresses and will support those recruiting and retention issues and efforts that we're making now to improve in those areas. So do you have any questions on the market data or what we're recommending for
Any questions to the
adjustments?
commissioners? Do I have a motion? A question first?
Thank you. Some input. First, initially, I received some feedback from one of the people affected by this, and I would sense that there's a gratitude that we're addressing this and doing this market adjustment currently. I'm also sensing that there's a concern, is it enough? And I'm sure you're concerned with that. I think that today the county announced, 8.5% increases for their employees coming up, and every department is having it. So it isn't to focus in just on this department. And it's important we hear from Jill about our overall overarching market analysis coming forward with everybody. But I hope it's enough. The commission will chime in tonight and give this support, but we need to be prepared for every department, not just this department, to be addressing these wages. And in that light, I have one question that I don't know the answer to, and it's for folks who are on call. Have we looked at the structure and pay of our employees on call, and have we adjusted them accordingly?
So we are looking at that right now as part of our market adjustment, and that is some of the data that was collected with the work Jill has been pushing forward here a little bit with.
And there are shift differentials that are in place as well that, would try to help address those evenings and weekends too that were added just in the last short period of time.
So I can comment a little bit to that. That's one of the things we tried in our 2022 budget is we implemented a shift differential for nights. That is something we hadn't had before for our street department and when they're working all those hours at nights. And that was well received, but it wasn't quite enough, and we're still losing people.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, and then I have a question.
Commissioner Preston?
So it sounds like it's about 10% vacancy rate, is that right?
We're a little higher than that.
Okay,
We're
12? something?
Well, we're missing 12 people out of 63 operators.
Oh, 63. I saw the name, I saw the number 100 somewhere.
That's just in street department and mains and hydrants. Solid waste also is struggling, but their struggle is more focused around they have an open position, and every time they offer it to somebody, they go back and turn their time in, and it comes back that the person rejects the position and stays where they're currently at because of the financial.
So I don't have any trouble with this, but Jill pointed to you a little bit. You know, I'm thinking the police department, they have a vacancy rate that's probably higher than that. I know the planning department's gone through a big struggle trying to get people in, so I would hate to see us addressing just one department. Where is the full market survey?
So we launched the full market survey in February and just received the final report about 2 weeks ago. That's been distributed to all department heads. And so we've spent the last few and will continue over the next couple of weeks to really look at all of the data and determine which positions, because that includes just benchmark positions. So we have to look at the positions included in the survey as well as other positions that might be related to determine if we want to advance any requests for market adjustments. And that includes all of our public safety positions as well as about 100 other benchmark positions across the city. So when we're done with all of that analysis, again, hopefully over the next couple of weeks, we'll have that completed and the requests will be ready then to move on to the position evaluation committee and ultimately rolled up into the budget process as market adjustment requests.
It'll be addressed, budget team is looking at, it'll be addressed budget for 2023, so the commissioners will have a look at it then.
So I have one follow-up question.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I recognize that we've got an immediate issue with this type of position. But I would hate to see us leaving behind a position because it's only one defined role with one position, leaving those behind. So, you know, and I recognize it has to be budgeted in, but we're setting a precedent here with addressing one department and not another. So I struggle a little bit with that.
Yeah, occasionally we do look more specifically at certain positions when we see we are having significant recruiting or retention issues. And the regional market survey is just that, more so focused on our regional cities. But that's why we felt it was important to take a look at our private, our local and private sector market as well, because that is where we're losing most of our operators to. So occasionally we have to do that one-off where we single out a position or group of related positions to study them even outside of that regional survey. But certainly those are all very important, and we have to take a look at what we need to do in terms of market adjustments based on all of those benchmark and potentially other related positions too.
And Ben's team's in a hot market right now with the diversion going on and everything else going on, so it was felt we needed to address it sooner than later so that we don't lose any more people.
Well, that's correct. We have lost a lot of our people to the other contractors, and that's one of the things. But I think, Commissioner Preston, you're absolutely right. All the departments need to be looked at because this is something that's going to affect our whole operation, and we're going to see this happen more and more with various departments. I think the biggest concern is we haven't been able to receive even applications for these positions. We aren't receiving an application a week. We're not receiving an application a month. We're going 3-4 months without an application.
Any other discussion? Was it moved and seconded, Joe? Yep, okay. Roll call vote, please.
Strand?
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Mahoney?
Aye. Resident comment time. Brandon Krieger?
Hi, Brandon Krieger. Just a couple of things I want to talk about. This is the last time probably speak with you before tomorrow. So I just want to say good luck to Arlette, Mayor Mahoney, and then Commissioner Arlette, and then Commissioner Pipcorn with the election tomorrow. It'll be fun to see how this all plays out. Tony, thank you for your service under the commission. Last week or 2 weeks ago, June 2nd, I believe, I went on a ride along with the Fargo Police Force. It was really enlightening to me. I really got to talk with my officer who was with me. And a couple points that ideas I've thought about myself and brought to want to bring to commission. A couple things is that, so one, when officers say they stay late for a 16-hour shift, they still have about 2 to 3 hours of paperwork to do. And Mayor Mahoney will understand this, being a surgeon, is that, instead of having, is if there's a way for them to work remotely so they can get home, and this is in regards to the mental health side, to have them work securely remotely for their paperwork they have to do at home, or hire a scribe, maybe have them audio it and have a scribe do the paperwork for them so they can get home sooner to rest and prepare themselves for the next shift. The second thing I want to talk about is that I don't know if this is for sure or not, but if our academy is stipend or the recruits are paid during it, if we're looking to recruit, it helps people so that if I'm going to school, I'm being paid to go to school and get through there. I know it doesn't guarantee or haven't signed a guarantee that they'll work in Fargo. Also hearing what Ben's saying about the whole, with the new licensure requirements and stuff like that, people do have to go to those classes on their own time. I don't know if they're paid or not. We may be looking into different ways, such as paying for people as they're in training or increasing it. Clearly we have an issue in town. So that's one thing we do need to discuss and address. Then lastly, with all these increases, it's not going to be brought up during right now, especially the day before election, but property taxes are going to increase. With our pays going up, everything's going to go up. The mills are going to have to go up unless we find a way to bring more revenue in. But just, the city needs to be prepared that going into this with the deficit of employees we have, that we're going to need to raise prices to keep the quality of living we do have. All right, thank you.
Jacqueline Dotson-Rod. Jacqueline Dotson-Rod. Christopher Cohn, I know you're here. Yep.
Yeah, I'm Christopher Cohn, a Fargo resident, and I want to talk about the new wildlife management program. So it appears that during this past season, the program was not administered. I requested the data for the past year, and I was told that there was no annual report. There is no data. No survey was done. No survey was handed out, so no information was gathered. I don't think that this body gave authorization for that. I thought we all understood that this past year that the program went forward as it was in previous years. So I don't understand that. Also, the state wild biologist said that the reduction of deer cited by the program participants in the last 3 years showed that it was effective. But also, if you look at that data, the first 8 years showed that the deer increased in numbers. So I think he picked the data that he wanted to show that the program was effective, and he didn't look at the rest of it. And there's quite a bit of details that we still don't know about the program, such as who's going to oversee the archery association that's going to administer the program. And finally, last week I pointed out that this past 5 months of looking at a possible new program was done in complete secrecy, did not include the public at all. And one of the commissioners here reiterated that question. Thank you for that. And the answer was that, well, we can go to the park board meeting tomorrow. Well, that's not being part of the process. That's being present at the very end when the final vote is being taken. So, the whole process was closed to the public. It was opaque. The city repeatedly talks about being transparent. This was not a transparent process. That's all. Thank you.
Richard Thomas.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Richard Thomas. I've been a longtime Fargo resident. I'm here to speak this evening regarding the wildlife management program in the Fargo city parks. About a year ago this time, the Chief of Police asked the Commission to end the program for 2 reasons. First of all, it was ineffective, and secondly, because of the safety of the park users. Deadly weapons were being used and discharged in the parks while the parks were occupied by the public. The issue was referred to a study group. The study group, it turns out, did not address any of the public safety concerns. Last fall, the City Commission voted to end the program. On the second vote to end the wildlife management program, a decision was made to continue to study all of the options. Now, 6 months later, we're back where we started, ready to move forward with a new program that still does not appear to address any of the safety issues. I saw from an article in the Forum today that maybe gave a brief overview of what the program might be. Last year, I turned in a petition signed by several hundred park users who asked that the program be ended. They did not feel safe or welcome for themselves, their children, or their pets while using the parks during the hunt. So I'm here to speak on behalf of those petition signers. They did not say that they would be okay with a program if only the hunting stands were raised by a height of 2 feet. They did not say they would be okay with a program if only it were administered by an archery club and the police department no longer had oversight. They did not say they'd be okay with a program if the warning signs were changed so that the risk of injury or death was minimized. They did not say they'd be okay with a program if only the parks within the city limits were included, where a higher population borders these parks. What the park users did say was that they wanted the program ended. Thank you very much.
Moving on to a public input opportunity, item 36, Donald Crest to come up. MHB Guardian Edition, approval recommended by Planning Commission 5322, zoning change from a downtown mixed use to a downtown mixed use and a public and institutional, first reading of the rezoning ordinance and a plat of the MHB Guardian Edition.
Good evening, Commissioners. Donald Kress of the Department of Planning and Development. Your packet contains an ordinance prepared by the City Attorney's Office. As the Mayor stated, this is the MHB Guardian Edition, not too far from where we are here today. Property is located on Main Avenue and 2nd Street South. At one time, the Park East apartments were here. They were removed through a flood buyout. The proposal here is to, and here's what the site looks like about noon today here, just looking along Main Avenue here. And then on the south side, looking along 2nd Street, it's undeveloped. And there's a city-owned levee that goes through the property, and we're looking along the top of the levee here. This construction here is on the adjacent property, and that's not part of the project that we're talking about here. The proposal is to subdivide the property into 2 lots, Lot 1 and Lot 2. Lot 1 is intended for development. Lot 2 is intended to be a city-owned lot. There is, as you know, the big city lift station out here. There's the levee, and it's a flood protection lot, basically. So this would not be developed. This property here would be developed by Epic as part of an RFP process that they participated in earlier this year. On the zoning, currently the entire property is zoned DMU, downtown mixed use. Lot 1 would retain that DMU zoning. Lot 2 would be rezoned to PI, public and institutional, which would be the appropriate zoning for a city-owned lot, especially one that's not going to be developed. The Commission's recommendation is, Planning Commission's recommendation is stated in your staff report shown on the screen. The applicants, the City of Fargo, Brenda Deering and myself are here if we have any questions for us. And Mr. Konowski of Epic apparently was not able to join us here this evening. So that concludes staff's presentation. Thank you, Commissioners.
Is there anyone present who wishes to speak to this zoning change? Is there anyone present who wishes to speak? If not, we close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Preston,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Pepcorn,
Aye.
Strand,
Yes.
Mahoney.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
B, item Renaissance Zone Project, Great Plains Block 3 Venture for a new construction project at 2225 4th Avenue North and 419 3rd Street North, continued from the 5/31/22 regular meeting. Jim Gilmer to explain.
These next 2 hearing items, both 36A and 36B, are the same project. You will need 2 different motions on them, but I'll kind of give you an overview of all the projects. Great Plains Block 3 Ventures would be a 300 unit, or excuse me, a 100 plus unit on this block just a little bit north of here. They've applied for both Renaissance Zone incentives, and earlier this year you had selected this as this group is the one that would buy this city-owned property that's the old school district warehouse. And so 36A is the approval of the Renaissance Zone incentives, and 36B is the sale agreement and approval of a tax increment financing to support the project. These slides show a little bit about the project, and it did receive both the recommendation of approval of the Renaissance Zone Authority and the Economic Development Incentives Committee. Again, the project is a 100-unit apartment building. There would be at least one parking space per apartment. In addition, there would be a room for at least 25 bicycles. The overall investment will be about $29 million. The goal is to still start this fall, although with the design, it may take a little longer, and it may actually start next year in 2023. On 36B, the sale price for the property. Let me see if I can get. Shows you the outline of it. I'll go on to I don't know if we can get the next slide, just showing where the two different parcels are. This one shows the kind of the outline of the property. The northern portion is what the city of Fargo owns. The southern portion is owned by the downtown real estate fund that's managed by Kilbourne. There would be a new LLC formed. It would create this Block 3 Ventures that would acquire both properties and develop this project. In the sale price of $162,000, the diversion authority was okay with that sale. Should the project not happen, the city would have the option to repurchase the property. The incentives are that the 5-year Renaissance Zone would be no property taxes on the structures for a period of 5 years. And then there would be an additional $1.4 million in tax increment financing funds provided to the developer in the form of a TIF note. The use of those funds would be documented. It would have to be for demolition, environmental cleanup, which would be a little over $1 million, and public improvements in the right-of-way of $350,000. This particular one has no funds for land write-down. The only other cost would be administration of $50,000 that would be paid to the city. The property includes that the city would provide an encroachment agreement so that there could be exterior or parking on the east side of the property, kind of within the right-of-way. But then also the developer is giving an easement to the city so that we would continue to have access over this strip of land on the north side of the property, so thered be access for emergency vehicles to get around to the back of the building, or for other maintenance on the flood wall. The building would have, or will be required to have kind of a brick and precast stone along the first floor, at least in the area that's visible to the public, kind of around the south side, the west side, and the first half of this eastern portion. Again, the Renaissance Zone Authority has recommended approval on the hearing on 36A. The Economic Development Incentives Committee has recommended approval of the $1.4 million in tax increment financing. This did go through our financial reviewer, and they determined that the project would not be feasible without this financing. I believe if you have questions on the financial review, I believe we have Matt Snacklenberg from PFM is available virtually if you have any questions for him. But maybe I'll stop here. We can open the hearing, and if you have any questions.
Is there anyone present who wishes to speak to this Renaissance Zone and this tax increment financing? Anyone present wish to speak? Do any of the commissioners have any questions of our financial advisor, Commissioner Garg?
Jim, does the TIF and the RZ run together at the same time?
No, they would run the first 5 years would be the Renaissance Zone. The next, we estimate 9 years would be the TIF, so it'd be about a 14-year total period.
Okay.
Any questions of the financial advisor? Do I have a motion? Excuse me, I'll close public hearing, then do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is this for C and D?
I think we should do, the Renaissance Zone first because the second item implies that you've already acted on the first item.
I'll make the motion on D, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Strand?
Yes.
Preston?
Aye.
Gary?
No.
Mahoney?
Aye. Item C, development agreement with the TIF Increment Financing District. Is there a motion?
I will make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Preston?
Aye.
Strand?
Yes.
Gary?
No.
Mahoney?
Aye. 37, construction updates. Brenda Derrick and Tom Knuckles to explain. Or maybe Tom's at the lake. Yes, he's at the lake. Okay, we'll just have Brenda talk to us tonight.
Mr. Chair, this is like an hour earlier. Usually Brenda's like at 8 o'clock at night and we're all, so enjoy the prime time, Brenda.
Yeah, usually I'm at the end of the meeting, so this is kind of exciting.
That doesn't mean you've got an hour and a half to do this.
That sounds good. So it's that time of the year. You drive around town, you know that there's a lot of construction going on right now. And so we did start a little bit later, but we're happy to get going and start getting some of these projects completed. So as of to date, we have not had any safety incidents this year. Again, I want to talk about where you can find more information about our projects. We are on Twitter and our Facebook, and then also at fargostreets.com. We have completed one project. Our citywide asphalt crack fill project is completed. And then ongoing, we are currently working on our 13th Avenue concrete rehabilitation project, 21st Avenue South, and then 18th Avenue South and 40th Street reconstruction. And then removals have started on 7th Avenue North and Oak Street. And then the underground from 10th to 8th Street is complete on our 3rd Avenue North and 7th Street project. We also have Excel replacing the gas main in this project area. 21st Street South, all underground phase 1 is completed and road work will be starting. And then Excel Energy is also replacing their gas main and services in this area also. We have a couple of citywide projects. We have our sidewalk project that we're working on. We have our asphalt mill and overlay, which is in multiple sections throughout the city. And then we have our chip seal project. And then we also have our concrete spot repair, and that's different than the 13th Avenue. When we have an arterial corridor, we'll go in and get a specific area. This is the citywide one that will go in and do our concrete spot repairs. And then some of our ongoing projects, we've got some storm sewer drain repairs, street lane traffic signal rehabilitations, and then also our citywide pavement markings. So when we get issues with our street lights, we over the whole year we'll assemble those together, and then we'll bid one larger project to get a better price to go out and do those rehabilitations that we need. Some ongoing new development project, we are working on the 64th Avenue overpass. The east embankment is complete, and we are installing the geofoam blocks on the west side. And then on 64th Avenue and 45th Street, the underground utility installation is nearly complete. We have started on Veterans Boulevard. This is south of 52nd Avenue. We're working on the underground utility installation there. And then the Crossroads Corporate Center, which is just at the, just south of I-94 and west of I-29 there by Border States Electric. We're working on the underground there. Eola is the development right off of 45th Street where one of the old Park softball diamonds was. And we're working on the pavement there. We've got all the underground installation. And then you can see in our new developments, we're slowly getting underground completed and starting to work on the paving. So some of the upcoming projects you're still gonna see yet. You're gonna see Rocking Horse Farms, the District Fargo 4th Edition, which is south of Walmart, and then Golden Valley 6th Edition, which is over by Davies, and then 14.5 Street, which is just off of First Avenue North, just west of University. We also have our Woodcrest Levee and Lift Station project, some storm rehabilitation projects, storm lift stations, and then we also have a hawk installation by the Essentia and Sanford facility on University Drive there. So we'll start with 13th Avenue. The contractor is working in phase 1 and will continue to work west to east. And you can see I've driven through it a few times. They're doing their best to keep at least one lane open east and west throughout there, but we're making good strides in getting some of that poor pavement replaced out there and extending the life of that concrete. Here's 21st Avenue South. This is where we're putting an 8-inch water main, but we're also replacing some of our old cast iron transmission line. So this is the transmission line that takes water from the Cheyenne River and brings it over to the water treatment plant. So whenever we do any projects within this area, we've been upgrading that the old cast iron pipe with PVC. Here at 18th Avenue and 40th Street, this is just south of the mall. Our road PCI there was very low, and so we did have PVC water main there, so we've just done a street reconstruction project here, and so we're already getting it ready and paving. 7th Avenue North and Oak Street, we've just started up there. 3rd Avenue North and 7th Street, we were into 10th Street for a couple of weeks, making those water main connections, and now we're moving our way east. And then 21st Street South, here you'll see some of the removals and storm sewer installation, and this is just north of 13th Avenue South, the water main replacement project. And then here's some pictures of our street rehab or our sidewalk rehabilitation, our mill and overlays, and then this is our citywide chip seal. And then here we've got some photos of 64th Avenue. The white areas you can see there are our geofoam that we put in to help with the weight of the fill.
That's a lot of fill, isn't it? Geofoam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, starting the week of June 20th, you're gonna start seeing some closures on I-29 as we start to install the bridge beams over the interstate. And then here you'll see where the Park District has started their work, and then the Career Academy is building their new Workforce Academy. And so this would be looking east on 64th Avenue, just east of 45th Street. And then this is just some pictures of the installation and then the Career Academy. And then here's Crossroads Corporate Center, some of the underground work there. And then Eola, here's some pictures of our paving. And then one of the things we did is we just sent out our postcards. When we approved the 2022 CIP last fall, we also approved our 2023 water main replacement projects. So we started sending out our postcards to give them the heads up that that project will be coming forward in 2023, and then give them the link of where they can find more information to what we will be doing there. And that concludes my presentation for today.
Excellent. Any questions of the commissioners? I think it was too thorough.
I do have one update I want to give you guys. We did open up bids on 32nd Avenue on Friday. They were more than what they were in February. So right now we're evaluating the costs and what options we have going forward over this week. And then we'll be bringing it forward to our Public Works Project Evaluation Committee, visiting with them, and then back in front of you guys again. So we are starting to see, we are having issues with material shortage and getting materials on time. And so it's going to be a balance between completion dates and trying to mitigate the impact to the public and cost.
Commissioner Strand.
Brenda, I'm just curious, when you mentioned that, how does that affect the relationship with contractors that have deadlines impending? And yet we know they're facing shortages of materials.
Can you say that again?
How would this affect existing contract deadlines, completion deadlines, if going into the construction season, we foresee shortages of materials?
So as we work through it, so for instance, we had some issues with our PVC pipe on 21st Avenue South, just south of I-94. And so we worked together with them on extending that time, making a time extension. So there was a time extension approved with that project due to the shortage of PVC resin and not getting, being able to get that pipe. So that did get delayed a year, but we were able to get the pipe, and they were, and the price, there was some price increase, but not a lot. And so we've just been working with them as we go through the projects. So like the projects you see that are upcoming getting bid, historically, we could bid a project now and they would be starting on it in the fall. We've been letting the developers know that more than likely, due to material shortages, they can't start on it till next year, is what we're finding.
Any other questions? To have a motion to approve the applications for property tax exemptions for improvements made to buildings.
I so move.
There's a second.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Strand?
Yes.
Preston?
Aye.
Gary?
Yes.
Mahoney?
Aye. Recommendations for appointments to the following commissions and boards: Special Assessment Commission, Native American Commission, and Library Board. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Preston?
Aye.
Strand?
Yes.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Gary?
Yes.
Mahoney?
Aye. Any other business, John Strand?
Well, I was going to catch Eric Johnson so we could all wish him a happy birthday, but I think he left the room. He probably knew that was coming.
Any other things? The motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Right.
Or adjourn. Good luck tomorrow.